Hello everyone, Lich Massacre here. I normally use the community tab to post updates, but because I have several thoughts on my mind, the lack of uploads, and I want to make sure the few viewers I have see everything, I'm making this update into a video for convenience. That way I can dump the subtitles of my script for non-English speakers, and they can hopefully translate it. Either way, let's just go through it all one by one. First, my video plans. As I had mentioned in the past in the community posts, my intent was to alternate between doing KOF hacks and other SNK videos. The ROM hacks part I do enjoy doing, but it's a lot more daunting than I had initially realized just talking about all these hacks. The number of hacks I covered in 97 wasn't that many, but the sheer number of hacks that there are for KOF 97 alone is overwhelming to say the least. It's also an issue I exaggerate the amount of time it takes to make the edits too, but that's something I'll figure out. There's way too many hacks with KOF, which leads to more downtime. With how I am deciding my video order, it's admittedly just how I feel, though I am trying to plan out what I upload, and when I do, I won't quit making the ROM hacks videos either, regardless of the amount of time it takes. That said, I did learn recently that announcing you will do something or have inspiration gives the same response to your brain as having already completed it, so for my sake, I'm just gonna shut up and not promise too much moving forward. Since my videos so far are all video essay length, I'm going to try and spruce it up with some smaller videos too, depending on the subject matter. That's just my thought process. It could easily change, so I won't make promises on when they release either. I would probably be better off finishing the KOF Hacks series first before doing anything else huge, with the occasional guide video or smaller discussion since I treat them as a separate endeavor. I'm not fully sure. Now, to also make clear, I don't intend on making all of my videos behemoth-sized. Hopefully some future videos show that I can and am willing to still do short videos, but I can ramble a lot. I have an incredible amount of video ideas to work from already, and plenty of them can be kept on the shorter side too. So much so I need to keep a list of my video ideas, and ultimately if I say I will do a video, 95% of the time I will never drop the idea, but it might cook forever in the oven. That said, Part 2 of ROM Hacks was a hell of a lot more efficient to edit than Part 1 was, so I like to believe I'm improving. Some of the other videos I'm doing at some point include how to fight against Wyler in Art of Fighting 3, and of course Samsho 3's upgrade video. And yes, I did say I would not announce my video plans, but these will be easy to make, so I don't mind mentioning they're somewhere in the pipeline. There's a few other short form videos I have too, but I'll get to them when the time is right. The only thing would be talking directly to the Mikado players who play upgrade only matches, like how I talked with Moya Moya-san. No, upgrade is not a serious format, but still interesting in its own right, and changes the way the game is played by quite a bit. It'd be a very fun video for me to make. I was even thinking about doing videos related to RPGs at some point, but not anytime soon. Though I don't mention it much online, and people follow me for fighting game related stuff. I love RPGs, arguably even more than I do fighting games, and to pretend as if I don't would be silly. Even now, I'm replaying Final Fantasy XIII for a ton of different reasons, despite the fact that I hated that game growing up. But I never finished 13-2 or Lightning Returns, so that's one reason. My fighting game ideas right now are more important to me, plus I would need to figure out how to make RPG content interesting, but still, it's an idea. And I don't mean only Samsho RPG or Kodelka. An unrelated rant, but to go back to what I said about having a ton of video ideas, that's a bad habit of mine. It's a bucket list of video ideas, but I need to learn to approach them one at a time. While not anytime soon, I would like to talk about more modern SNK games too, but I'll cross that bridge when I get there. Outside of SNK Playmore, DNF Duel, I'm praying to God a new Dead or Alive comes out maybe Tekken 8. I hardly follow modern fighting games. SNK though, I'll always follow. For the most part, this isn't me being anti-modern fighting games. I do still enjoy some new fighting games, with Unisk being the best non-SNK example for me. Albeit I consider it Under Night in Birth 1.5 myself and not a true Uni 2, even though it is a sequel. Not to mention, it's because I played Yun-Yul when that was new that I was going to play Unisk anyways, but I'm rambling. Point is, I love Under Night in Birth. It's just a lot of stuff that releases I either don't have interest in or don't have the time to stay on top of. SNK's my focus, and with my videos being from a competitive fighting game angle, it's better if I focused on SNK as is. Also, quickly, I want to say sorry that I wasn't actually working actively on the ROM Hacks Part 2 video. It was always at the back of my mind, and I jotted down small tidbits to add to the video as time went on, but then I made the community post promise that I would be out by the end of October last year, which obviously never happened, despite that my intent was to work on it very actively in October. I didn't actually do much. I was buried with IRL stuff, making it that I spent less overall time online, though. If anything, I was slowly spending less time on video games and recently got back into it, but that doesn't excuse lying about working on it actively, so again, sorry for that. Secondly, streaming. As you may know, there's this channel. I also have my Twitch channel, of which I now do non-existent streaming on. It's easier to chill on my friends' streams. Anytime I did stream, the moment I hit stream, I was at a loss for how to express myself live, and plus I play niche fighting games, so getting anyone to play at all involves a lot of downtime online. Thus, it gets boring for the viewer waiting for something. Not only that, I practically live in the middle of nowhere when it comes to my taste in fighting games. Between SNK as a whole, Dead or Alive, among other things. So fighting games don't work, but then at that point I really don't know what else to stream. I like the idea of streaming, but making videos and articulating my thoughts is a lot easier. I could stream RPGs, but then that detracts from me being fully immersed in many of them, so frankly I don't know. I could stream MiHoYo games, I basically play all of them at this point. Well, not Tears of Themis, but I'm not the target demographic anyways. And I play a few other gachas in general. I'm somewhat of an MMO junkie as well, but even then, for almost all of these games, the biggest reason I play them is for the story and characters, plus endgame content if possible. I could stream The Elder Scrolls 2 since I like playing those games, mods or not, and Oblivion especially is my favorite. Nor have I ever actually finished Arena or Daggerfall, or even Fire Emblem, which anytime I get back into it becomes crack for me. Those are of course very different from fighting games, but fighting games are obviously not the only thing I play. Feel free to add suggestions about streaming in the comments. And God knows I'm playing Honkai for the rest of my life after they release Part 2. Point is, I'm not sure how to treat streaming. And sure, I could play music on stream as well, but I listen to Vaporwave, Synthwave, and K-pop. I know, my music taste is truly the most beautiful thing in the world. One last thing, for the longest time my PC randomly crashes into a blue screen of death. There were also sound issues related to static that pop up when I recorded, but I think I fixed the sound issues. It doesn't solve the blue screen of death issue though. It has not been happening nearly as often lately, but I am still suffering blue screen of death issues. I had to pull out the Windows command prompt to fix another problem related to corrupt system files, which was easy to fix and reduce the frequency of blue screen of death errors. One night I eventually caved, did mem test assuming I did the test right, and every single instance of the test gave me an error message back. I am trying to narrow down the issue, but basically, either it's a very specific issue I have on my PC that I can't figure out, or my RAM is legitimately bad. It's 4x8GB RAM sticks, all the same brand, at all the same clock speed. Memtest said the RAM was bad because it writes a number, and reads the number but gets a different result. And my BSOD error messages are almost always either IRQL, not less or equal. system service exception or K-mode exception. When I rendered the last video, my PC crashed 3 times, rendering it, which never happens. It was probably bad luck. If you have a better answer beyond buying new RAM, feel free to share. It's annoying the hell out of me. I wouldn't call myself tech illiterate, but I'm not good at diagnosing these problems either. For the people who have stuck around me for a lot longer, you may know I used to do tournaments as well, and they've disappeared. What gives? Well, put simply, I have no motivation to do tournaments anymore. I came to this realization when I announced a Fatal Fury 3 tournament, one I never ran in the end despite liking the game. No rant as to why I don't like to run tournaments anymore. I just don't, and I have my reasons. Plus, it's no longer a lockdown. I think it's very telling when I enjoy the idea of creating a meme to promote the tournament with, enjoy the actual running of the tournament itself. Now, that's not to say tournaments are never happening again. I may consider charity events or running a side bracket at a major, but that's a maybe. Some of you may know I also applied to try and run SVC Chaos at either Frosty Faustings or Combo Breaker, but that was only after someone else expressed interest in it too, not only me. Basically, I would have never applied otherwise. It would be great to have SVC Chaos side bracket at a major event, don't get me wrong, but I've accepted long ago it is what it is. Running tournaments is not the only way to show support for a game anyways, as I've learned long ago. Just look at the videos I'm uploading. Tourneys are only a fraction of support for the game, not the entire package. But as is, I only have so much free time, and running online tournaments is unfortunately one such thing I felt like I had to move on from. Even for the likes of SVC Chaos, Art of Fighting 3, and Fatal Fury Special are my favorites to run tournaments for. Maybe it will change someday, which then goes into my next topic. I contribute to fighting games out of a love for them. If I'm doing any of this stuff, it's because I want to and it's fun, especially if more people at least understand SNK better, even if they don't play it. So if I'm not having fun running online tournaments anymore, then I'm not doing it out of obligation. It was around when I was trying to do a KOF marathon of brackets back in 2022 where KOF 98 completely flopped because I got a ton of signups, but no one checked in, and a ton of them thought it was running the day after. That and there were issues with my dorm that made sound leakage become even worse, so tournament running was no longer a sustainable idea. And ever since, it's slowly become a relief for me. I doubt I'd run tournaments again, but if I do, I'm severely limiting the selection. I'm one guy, and KOF always brings headaches due to connection issues. Additionally, I was also a variety tournament streamer, but explicitly only games I myself liked, because what's even the point of running a tournament if I myself don't like the game? This usually also meant I was solo commentary. I personally don't think I'm good at commentary, but that's beside the point. Basically, even though I like games like Street Fighter Alpha 3 or Hyper Street Fighter 2, for example, the thing is I don't actually know what I'm talking about. I'm an SNK guy, in a similar vein to how I listen to people talk about games I like, for example SVC Chaos, and shake my head at bad commentary or people who don't really understand the game. I imagine that's how others feel about me talking about Street Fighter or such. Sure, I could get someone else to help commentate with me, but then that's another person's schedule I need to rely on. Point is, I don't want to go on commentary only to talk about the game as if I know enough when I really don't. I want to get really good at Street Fighter Alpha 3 someday. It's my favorite Street Fighter, but it's not my specialty. That's fine. I don't need to run Street Fighter tournaments. My own Discord server I used to keep for tournaments is collecting dust as well. It's just sitting there. I don't really know what to do with it. But anyways, I think it's fair to say I tried to do too much during lockdown, so the past year or so I've been doing other things just to not have fighting games be the only thing I'm doing. There's a multitude of reasons I took a break, but you get the point. It's a hobby, one that I love and want to contribute, but at my pace. Plus, I'm on too many Discords now and some of them are getting neglected. I was already an avid fighting game fan growing up as a kid, but I became much more involved because of COVID, Because, you know, when you don't have anything else to do and lose sight of why you even liked a lot of stuff in life to begin with as time passes along during lockdown, you get the idea. I don't regret that. I don't regret those years. I learned many important lessons, but it led to a severe imbalance in my life. I have to cut back on playing fighting games for my own sake. I'm never quitting fighting games, only balancing it. So there you have it. The too long didn't watch version is as follows. I'll make damn sure I do someday finish the Killer from Hack series, then maybe followed by some arrangement of videos with a couple short ones planned out. And more importantly, just keep my mouth shut to better motivate myself because research says so. This includes guide videos, which I treat as a separate endeavor, but will always be in the pipeline. Streaming is something I never really figured out what works for me if anything, but I'm open to ideas. Plus, I still have blue screen of death errors and it's 99% probably because of bad RAM, albeit I'm not completely sure. And for tournaments, well, I'm just not happy planning them anymore. I've got so many other things I already worry about that I think giving up running tournaments, for the most part at least, is the right call to make. But making YouTube videos when I'm able to and having inspiration is a great outlet for me, even if they're spotty releases at the moment. So hopefully you stick around more for my SNK videos regardless, and I get even more opportunities to showcase SNK to you all. And not to mention, thank you for over 300 subscribers, even though I feel like I don't deserve any of it, with how few videos I've actually put out so far. And even if I appear absent, I'm still lurking around the fighting game space in some shape or form. I simply will never quit playing fighting games, and someone needs to autistically video essay SNK games. Otherwise, I'm 99% likely going to Combo Breaker this year, too. I'm sure there will be that. I'm sure that will be a ton of fun. This has been Lich Massacre telling you to go enjoy fighting games and play some SNK.